Okay, so now I also want to have our names fly in with the images as well. So I need to apply an animation to those and make them come in with the pictures. So before we move any further, I want to hide this text here because we haven't, it's kind of getting in the way and I haven't gotten to the point where we're going to animate it onto the screen yet. So I want to just hide it and get it out of the way. So the easiest way to do that is to just click on the home tab up here and then click this little select arrow here, and you want to click on selection pane. That's going to open up the selection pane over here on the right, and you see these little eyeballs. You can basically turn off different things on the slide. You can basically hide them, unhide them as you need to, and in this case we want to hide it so we can work with the slide without that text getting in the way. So moving on to what we're trying to do here, we're trying to get these names to animate in with the images. Now the easiest way to do that is just to select the name, go to animation again, and just choose the animation that you want. You want an entrance animation so it comes in with the image. You can even match it up by having it come in from the same side. And then also adding a bounce effect to it as well, just like we did with the images, same exact thing. And to make sure that it lines up perfectly, we can even make sure that it starts with the previous. So if I was to play that, you can see how the name comes in with the image at the same time. Now let's do Jamie's. We'll select his name. Under animations, click fly in, and we'll have it fly in from the right. We'll click on the arrow effect options, and we'll turn up the bounce end to around 35 or 0.35 if I can get it there. And we'll have it come in, start with previous. So now let's look at this. Everything comes in together. It's easy. It's as easy as that. Okay. So the next thing to do is to turn back on this text here, because if you remember in the video, this text kind of flew onto the screen. Then at the same time that that happened, these images and the names shrunk and moved to the top here. Okay, to make room for the text. So let me show you how to do that. We got a rough idea of how far this text goes. It goes right about midway up the slide. So we know that we need to shrink our images and names down enough to fit in this top upper portion of the slide. So we can turn off that text again. Now we're going to add an additional animation to each object on this slide. We've already got entrance animations on each of our objects, but we want to add an additional animation. Not a new one, but an additional animation that's going to happen later on during the video. So to do that, all you have to do is add a new animation to that object. Now we actually have to add an additional animation. Okay, we're not changing the existing animation. If we just go to animation and pick a new animation, it's going to remove our fly-in animation and add a new animation. We want to add an additional animation to our object. So we're not just having one animation for the object on the slide, we're having more than one. So select the image or object that you want to add this additional animation to. Click Add Animation. And now we're going to add an additional animation. We don't want an entrance animation because we already have that. We have it flying in from the left. Now we want it to move towards the top of the slide, so we're going to choose Motion Paths. Okay? So we're just going to choose the Lines Motion Path Animation. And you can see that by default it moves it down. We're just going to click the end of that line, that motion path, and drag it up. So now you can see objects will come in, and then you can see how it moves up like that. Check over here on the animation pane the order of things. We have both pictures coming in at the same time and the text coming in at the same time. Then after that happens, we have our motion path. So we're going to have this start on click. Now we have to do the same thing for Jamie. We're going to click on his image, add animation, motion path. Okay? And again, we're going to have to change the motion to go in the right direction. Right about there. Okay, so let's play that and see what happens. Okay, so now the motion paths are going separately. So we need to select Jamie's motion path and say start with previous, in this case with me. Okay, so now let's play it and see what happens. You can see that they both move up together now. But you can see that they kind of overlap and it doesn't really look that good. Okay, so we need to actually apply a shrink animation as well to these images. So we actually need to add a third animation to these objects to get them to shrink down so they fit nicely. So we're going to click on the image again, and to add a third animation, okay, we're going to click on Add Animation, and under Emphasis Animation, we're going to click on Grow Shrink because we want our object to shrink. So you can see by default it's actually growing. So under Effect Options, we're going to actually, where it says amount, we're going to choose tiny, okay? Or actually we're going to choose smaller. That seems about right. So let's see what happens with that. Okay, so our picture shrinks at a slow rate after it moves up. But we need to we want to speed up the rate at which that image shrinks down. So we're going to click on the options for that shrink animation. Go to Effect Options. And I like to add some bounce effect to this as well. And we're going to go under Timing and speed up the timing where it says duration. It takes 2 seconds to shrink. That's kind of slow. So we're going to go to a half a second, very fast. So now let's see what happens. It's still not right because we want it to shrink at the same time that it's moving along that motion path. So under the Grow Shrink animation, we also want to make it start with previous. And also I can see that both images kind of move up at the 45-degree angle kind of really slow. So I want to speed that up a little bit by clicking on the options for the motion path animations, going to timing, and making them go at a duration at a half a second as well. I'll do that for Jamie as well. And I'll also add some bounce end to that. Just so, you know, when they go up, they kind of bounce around and look kind of cool. All right, so let's see what that looks like now. So you can see that I am going up and shrinking, but Jamie is not. So we got to go to Jamie and add a third animation to him as well. So we're going to go to Grow Shrink, Effect Options, Smaller, and we're going to have it start with previous, and we're going to change the timing duration to very fast, and we're going to add a bounce effect to it. So let's see what this looks like now. Pretty cool. So that's pretty much what we're looking for. Now, if we were smart about this, we would have made our names part of the images, so we wouldn't have to animate them all separately. But since we're doing this the hard way, let's go ahead and add the same animations to these images here. To do that, you would basically just repeat the process. So I'm going to click on my name and add an animation, motion path, and I'm going, oops, there we go, move that motion path to right about there. And I'm going to have it start with previous. I'm going to have the timing be very fast and give it a bounce end of 0.35. Let's see if that kind of lines up. And it's nowhere near I need it to be, so I'm going to move it over a little bit. Nowhere near still where I need it to be, so let's play with it a little more. Almost there. As you can see, this is how labor intensive this can be because of the stuff you need to do here. And it's still nowhere near. So I'm just going to play with this for a minute, pause the video until I get the positioning where I want it, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so I've got it pretty close to where I want it to be. I actually ended up adding a third animation to the names as well to get it to shrink down. So check that out now. See how the name kind of goes up with the picture, shrinks down, and moves up at an angle at the same time. So I'm going to do the same thing to Jamie's name. Go to Add Animation, Motion Path, and I'm going to make it happen with previous. Give it a bounce end of 0.35, a very fast timing, and I'm going to add a third animation, a Grow Shrink, so it shrinks down. Start with previous, Give it a bounce end of 0.35-ish. Timing, very fast. And it's still going big. So we're going to go to Effect Options, go to Smaller. And now we're going to drag the motion path end to about where we want it. See if we're anywhere near where we need to be. Nowhere near. So let's drag this motion path over. Almost there. And almost there. And I would say that's pretty good right there. So at this point, I'm going to stop the video. We've covered a lot in this video, and maybe this was confusing, maybe not, but if it is, just let me know. But basically, all we've done is we've applied 3 different animations to every object on this slide. We have them coming in with the entrance animations, okay, in the green here. And then we have them moving across the slide with these motion path animations that you see here, which are basically these lines. And then we have an emphasis animation, which basically shrinks them down in size. So all 3 together combined make it so that they come in and move to the top of the slide and shrink down. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to bring in the text. Actually, I'll show you how to do that right now so we can move on to the next slide. To bring in the text, it's really easy. All you need to do is, first of all, turn it back on by turning the eyeball on, and then just applying an animation to it. So we're actually going to have it float in, or actually we'll have it fly in from the bottom. So make sure you got from bottom selected there. And again, I like to have it start with previous, so it's happening at the same time that these images are shrinking down. In Effect Options, I'll add a little bounce end to it of 0.35, and I'll make the timing very fast. And if you notice in the audio, I also say whether you're a local marketer or a web designer. So those are 2 different sentences, or 2 different words, 2 different statements, however you want to say it. So I want these words to come in separately. So I can basically click on this block of text here and go to Effect Options and make them come in by paragraph. Okay. So now let's watch this animation. And that's pretty much what we're going after here. If I wanted to get really fussy with it, I could move those pictures down a little bit. But for the sake of this video, it's getting kind of long. We're not going to do that. But yeah, that's how you create the first slide.